Oh, there he goes. What a great song. Herb Alpert, along with the Tijuana Brass. You see here, this guy, he's in love with you. We're in the studio with us right now. We got a lot of beauty in our studio right now. Dr. Stacy O'Brien from Atlantic Hearing and Balance is with us. Good morning, Stace. How you doing?
Good morning.
I should be more official. Good morning, doctor. How you doing?
No, Stace is good. I like that.
Okay. Now, I got to ask you. Today, Tommy Bahama clothes, all the different things that you have to be stylish and look good. When it comes to hearing aids, the first thing people say, I don't want to wear a hearing aid because it's ugly.
Oh,
okay.
yes.
In fact, I remember we had a woman that worked for us that was getting close to have to wear hearing aids. So she had short hair, looked beautiful. She grew it long, just so when she got to the hearing aids, nobody could see them.
Oh, yes.
And I understand there's a whole new world out there.
Yes. Oh, thankfully, technology has just kept miniaturizing. It used to be it's a little mini supercomputer that sits in our ear. So that supercomputer was a lot larger many years ago. And if a patient had a severe hearing loss and we needed a lot of power, we'd have to have a large battery. So the computer had to be larger. Now, thankfully, we can get the largest gain receiver, so the most power we can get in what we call an invisible in the canal device. So we no longer need a larger device for power. So how we determine a style of a device depends on a host of different things. It's picked individually for each patient based on the severity of the loss. If their loss is severe enough, we have to go with a device that is in the ear completely because we want to control all the sound. Now, if a patient has a less severe loss, we can go with a very discreet device that's tucked behind the ear and a very thin little tiny wire just goes in the ear with the speaker.
Okay.
And that way, even though there's something in the ear canal, we're not blocking that patient's better low-frequency hearing. We're essentially leaving the rest of the ear canal open to allow the brain access to that sound. Now, we do have patients that maybe they're still in the workforce and they're younger and they don't want anyone to be able to see that they may have a disadvantage, so they're not going to wear an over-the-ear device even if it is appropriate for their hearing loss. So we have to go with an invisible down deep. So even if you pulled open their ear and looked in their ear, you could not see this device. It still comes out nightly, but we pick also if a patient has neuropathy and poor dexterity, we'll have to go with a different style of device so it's easier for them to insert. We have patients that have chronic infections, and we have to make sure the ear stays aerated. So there's a whole host of factors that go into determining what style of device for a patient.
Okay, well, this is fabulous because not only can you have your style for the looks, you've got the style for what your needs are to make you, one of your senses.
Yes.
Which is hearing.
Absolutely.
When you go to a play, you don't want to always keep leaning over to somebody sitting next to you and say, what did they say, right?
Oh, that's the first sign. You come in, we give everyone in the community a free baseline. If we catch hearing loss early and we treat it early, we can prevent some different cognitive declines that come. Johns Hopkins has done a ton of research on this. Patients can look up online, but they followed patients for decades, and what they found was when there was untreated hearing loss, those patients were up to 5 times more likely for the onset of dementia, Alzheimer's. That's because the brain overworks when there's hearing loss. Even a mild hearing loss in one ear can cause permanent cognitive decline. So we really want to catch it early before there's any permanent damage. And also the brain, where we process and encode all speech, when it goes long enough without access to the sounds of speech, it will permanently forget what to do with those sounds of speech. You've heard of if you don't use it, you lose it.
Oh, I've heard that.
Absolutely. So we want to get patients in early and often to screen every year. It's a free baseline. They can get at any one of our locations. And that way, when we catch it early, like I mentioned, we can prevent cognitive decline, but also they don't need a sophisticated, more expensive device. When we catch it early, the brain still has all the features, so we don't need a device with all the features. So it's a lot less expensive for that patient to treat their hearing loss.
Okay, Stacy, it's always a pleasure to talk to you to find out more about our hearing and how we can have better hearing. How can we find out more?
Sure. We're on the internet, on the web at atlantichearingbalance.com, or they can call our local number is 386-756-8225, and we have locations in Port Orange on Dunlawton Avenue or Ormond Beach on Hand Avenue.
Okay, Dr. Stacy O'Brien, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, talk about having great hearing, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
There she goes from Atlantic Hearing and Balance. That's Dr. Stacy O'Brien right here on the radio.
People are talking about the variety on WSBB.
The variety?
Just a variety.
We like a variety of music. And they play a nice mix.
The great voice of Volusia County.
WSBB.